What's Happening Hoke show is filmed before a live audience and is brought to you by Rockfish Motor Speedway, the Rock of Hoke, nunboys.com, and GPS Photography and Video, gpsphotoandvideo.com.
I'm going to talk about Jim Duncan. I met him. I listened to the way he talked. I liked the way he talked. I liked the way he was talking about things that need to be, I hate to use the word changed, but something done about what's going on. I think he's a real good individual. And learning more about what I learned about you, Mr. Duncan, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back you and give you my full support.
Thank you.
For the Republican nomination.
Thank you.
And I'll do that by passing out all these handouts you gave me. Everyone I come in contact to, I will promote you. And I will really, really help you. And I think I've got everybody else convinced to do the same. But without further ado, you're supposed to be somewhere else tonight, and he decided to come here tonight with us. Now, let me say this before we start. The ones that sitting in this room tonight are very important people. I see the same faces about every time that we have our meetings, and I really appreciate you coming. That means that you want to see something done. But we have to get to our neighbors, we have to get to our friends, and let them know that they need to come out and support. If I told you that in 6 weeks, we're going to have the sewer start going through Rockfish. We're having a meeting. We would not have enough room to hold all the people that would come to talk about the sewer. Because once the sewer comes, I'm not going to get on the sewer because it costs too much money. But yet on the other hand, we're talking to businesses to come here, but they won't come because of the sewer. We got property owners that want to sell their land, but they can't sell their land because they don't have water. So if I was to tell you that I got water in a year going to come through, it would be all full. That goes down, in my opinion, to personal concerns, which is wrong. You can't use just personal concerns. You've got to do it as a whole and as a community as a whole. You got to take away your personal gain and give to others so they can gain too. And with these elections coming up, we all need to get together. We need numbers. Okay? So without further ado, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
I want you all to know that if there'd been one person, I would have been here tonight, okay? So thank you all for coming out. And thanks for the prayer. We may agree or disagree tonight. Just know that I respect you if we disagree, and I love you if we agree. Just know this, that the center of my life is God. Yeah. And that's where I'm coming from. And I want to begin, because I met some veterans here tonight, with a story that I've been carrying since last week. I was at a veteran, as you know, last week was Veterans Day. And excuse my back. Okay.
No, fine.
But
I got your back.
All right, thank you. I was at a breakfast for veterans. There were probably about 300 of them. And I was sitting here, and there was an elderly gentleman sitting right here. And they came 2nd Airborne Choral Group. Maybe some of you have heard them. Oh, yeah. These guys are unbelievably good. But they sang each one of the services songs, all 5. And this gentleman got up, and he looked at the play. Well, they were playing, and he stood at attention, just like this, through all 5. Now, he was in his 90s, and I was just so impressed with him that when the evening was over, I took my chair and I slid over to him, and I said, I don't know how you did that at your age. This is just incredible. I was really impressed. And he grabbed my hand, he called me son, which goes to show you that he was elderly, because there's not too many people older than me. And he says, son, that was easy. He says, I was on the Baton Death March, and we talked about what he went through. I want you to know that one of the reasons I'm running is because his name is Mr. Mims. It's people like Mr. Mims. And my dad, who was on a ship, and he survived because I'm here, his ship was sunk in the invasion of North Africa, the Hugh L. Scott, and his ship was hit with a torpedo off the coast of Casablanca. 59 of the 120 men died that were on the ship. We owe so much of our freedoms to the people that preceded us. And everywhere I've been, and I've been everywhere, I've got a brand new truck out there with a lot of miles on it, and I'm telling you, I'm all over this congressional district. I'm on a mission. I'm going to be fighting for those people that preceded us. So keep that in mind as I give you my remarks tonight. I think our country is inside out and upside down. I don't believe that we are living up to the obligations that we have. You know, I think of the men and women from all the wars that preceded us that, you know, they were called up when they were 18 and 19 years old to go fight. They weren't counting on that. And as you can probably tell, I'm from the northern part of the district. I have a funny accent. Because my dad was from Anderson, South Carolina, and married my mom, who was from a place called Astoria, Queens. And I grew up in New York before I lived in Connecticut for many years. But this is a time where I think we're being called up. You mentioned politician before. I'm not a politician. I've never run for office. I didn't get involved in politics until 2010 when I realized things were really upside down. And I said, I have to go do something. I have to be involved. I never said that I retired from business. I always said I've been refocused. And I found a refocus in getting involved in politics. Now, all of you know, you're probably wondering why I got this dopey football. All of you in this room, I think, will remember, well, maybe not all, but the legendary football coach, Vince Lombardi.
Redskins.
Okay? You remember?
Washington Redskins.
Yeah. And Green Bay Packers. Well, he would begin every preseason with the team meeting. And he'd hold up the football, and he'd use the exact same words year after year after year. And he'd go, gentlemen, this is a football. Now, why did he do that? He did it because he wanted the team, regardless if you were an all-pro, like the gentleman that's filming, or a brand new rookie out of college. He wanted you to know what the basics were, the foundation, the principles for what would be a successful football season, and he had lots of them. Well, this is our basis, right here. This is our foundation. This is our rules of governance. You see, these are our rules for success, just like the Green Bay Packers. This football was their constitution. But something's happened in America. Everybody in this room, I suspect, knows Abraham Lincoln's words. Government, help me out, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now that expression ends. That sentence says, shall not perish from this earth. You see, I think we've taken this document and those words of Abraham Lincoln, and we've just pushed them off to the sidelines. We are not living up to the obligation. Yes, you're listening to me, but the idea of a representative is to listen to you. The idea of a representative is to take your voice to Washington, not find out what Washington thinks and comes back and to try to sell you on what you don't believe in. We can disagree. But when everything is being done at a central government, that's not what this document was about. This document is about limited government. And there's no greater example, in my opinion, of where that failure has come in place than in the 2nd District, which includes 8 precincts of Hoke County. I believe it's 8. You're going to check me out, right? 8 precincts in this county. And I want to give you 3 facts why I believe Representative Elmers should be replaced. The first fact is that the voting record does not match the will or the values or the principles of the people in the district. Second, The strategy that Representative Elmers has embraced is one, particularly, I'm a conservative. By the way, I was a Democrat, but I've been always a conservative. The strategy she's embraced says, wait till we have a supermajority in the House, a supermajority in the Senate, and the presidency. Well, I don't think we'll need her at that point. This document wanted us to have conflict and compromise and to work it out. That's why we have these separation of powers. So go back to, and then there's a third point. Shouldn't call it a point, it's a fact. I've got my own stories. Some of you may have your own as it regards to the incumbent. And that's the definition of representative. A little while ago I said, bring your voice to Washington, not the other way around. But being a representative means that you listen, and that you respond, that you show up, and you match your words to your actions. And on those three facts, Representative Elmers has failed. Now let me give you some specifics on each one of them. On the failure of the voting record, Representative Elmers ran on the issue of Obamacare. Representative Elmers has voted against every time Obamacare comes up. But when it was time to fund it, the incumbent funded Obamacare. Again, I refer back to that, this threat that, oh my goodness, you're going to close down the government. What does closing down the government mean to your principles and values that you stood up for? There was jobs and the economy are still critical issues in our country. And I know in Hoke, it's huge. Immigration is affecting everything that we live with today. Everything. The pressures that go on in our communities for additional schools, firehouses, police. These are getting the roads out here straightened out. But hardworking people, this group is about community and being volunteered. That has shaped my life. I'm not here saying, don't be gracious, open-armed Americans. What I'm saying is, you as American citizens aren't being put first. The American worker and the American citizen is way down on the list of priorities. You should be the first. We should be thinking about jobs for our children and for you, well-paying jobs. So with this issue of immigration, there was an amendment that came up. And that amendment would have deported illegal immigrants who have committed heinous crimes. Crimes like child molestation, family abuse. One Republican voted against it. You want to guess who? Representative Elmers. And when asked why did you do this? It's because companies and corporations in our district, she said, need these immigrants, illegal immigrants, for their jobs. I have one word for that: nonsense. I know Americans that would love to have some of those jobs. This concept that this is out there and that Americans, we don't have enough people to work, is crazy. We're seeing 1.2 million immigrants coming into our country legally. And we can't bring them into our culture properly. This is a real issue for American citizens and American workers, and Representative Elmers has failed on it. The second issue of a strategy, there is nowhere should we have to be in a position where we say we wait. When you're representing a group of people and you know what they feel about on issues, you go to Washington and you represent them. I'm too old to build a career, and I've had a career, but I submit to you, we have too many people in our country who are running because they want a career. This is a role of service, just like your organization. It's a role of service. It's a role in which I should take arrows for you, and you should take arrows for me if I'm doing the job. And the third point of what it means to be a representative, showing up. Representative Elmas has failed dramatically. I've been involved since 2010, and I've been to every Republican 2nd District convention. And if you put them all together in terms of the time, this is the representatives convention. Over 5 years, the accumulated time at that convention is no more than an hour. In and out.